Alright guys, so today we're going to be continuing with going over AutoCAD. I'm resuming my work using the Milestone 3, so you guys are going to want to open that up and we'll get started within that. Just to go over everything though, you should have a 15-foot wide, 12-foot tall exterior space. You should have two exterior 3-foot windows on the short sides of the building. You should have one 2-foot window by the front door. You have the front door that should be 2'6", and you have the interior door that should be 2'4". You should have 6-inch exterior walls and 4-inch interior walls centered directly here in the middle. So just to make sure you guys have all that, this is where I'm starting with, and then our layouts. Come on, there we go. So I've got layout 1 and layout 2. So we've got a couple things here. So I'm going to be getting you guys into annotative things pretty early on. I don't typically do this early, but usually it would be something I do next week. But I'm trying to kind of improve some of the stuff here. So let's get into what I have. I've already done this in here because I screwed up already and read all the numbers wrong. So these are already set. You're going to want to go to this annotate tab. Some of this, you can reach some of it here, but not really. It's more for placement there. So in the annotate tab, you've got your text field, and then down here you've got manage text styles. So you guys are going to want to come in here and you're going to create 5 different styles. I have detailed, dimension, label, note, and room. And I'll just pause at each of these for a second and you can read what it says. But in general, you set the font style, so it's, whatever the lettering is going to be, and then the actual rendering height. Now, one thing I'll point out to you, and there's a handout that you guys will have next class. Where did it go? So you guys will have this handout. I might just upload it today. But in particular, what I wanted to point out to you guys is that when you're entering the values, some of these are a little bit different. So detail is going to be a 1/16 of an inch city blueprint annotative. Dimension is going to be 1/8 inch annotative city blueprint. So it's basically the same settings except for the font size itself here. Label is, oh sorry, yeah, annotate. Okay. Label is going to be a little bit different. Do you remember the first video that we went over when we set the units? I told you guys that we had it set to a 1/16 of an inch. Well, when you set the label dimension, you're going to set this to actually a 1/6 of an inch. And then when AutoCAD takes this and enters it in, it's going to round it off to that 3/16. So it's going to do this. Don't worry, that's perfectly normal. This is not annotative. You're going to have another one that's note that is 1/16 inch, but it is not annotative. And then you've got room, which is going to be an 1/8 inch and annotative. So go ahead and get these settings. Again, I'll loop through them so you can see what they are. Just make sure you copy these settings exactly. Okay. Once those are done, go ahead and hit apply and close. And then we're going to jump into dimensions and how to set these up. So these are kind of a jumble of a lot of things that are going on here. What you're going to want to do is you're going to click on annotative. You'll hit new. It'll give you a name. Go ahead and enter class for this. This will just be our class font or class dimension style that we work with. And then within this, we will, I just lost the menu. Okay, there we go. Within this, go ahead and call this class, start with annotative, and then you guys will hit continue. I'll jump over to the one I modified. But this is what we're going to end up with. So go ahead and, well, I'll just walk through you guys with it. So we'll hit new. I'm going to call this class 2 real quick just to walk you through this because you guys will have a couple things. So yours should look like this by default. And the first thing I'm going to have you do is skip over everything else and you're going to go to primary units right here. So that's where I'll pick up with this. So primary units, you're going to want to set the unit format to architectural. Just like units in the building, you are at decimal. So we're going to go to architectural. The precision, again, we'll leave it 1/16 of an inch, and this is going to be what it displays in the numbers here. So you can see that there's a, what is that, 1 3/16 or something like that. You can change this so you can get more precise and it'll show finer values there. 1/16 inch is fine. Fraction format, I believe it comes in by default horizontal. We're going to go ahead and change that to not stacked so it fits in the lines better. We're going to be doing kind of a standard 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch grid here. So a lot of these numbers will seem kind of repetitive. Don't round anything off. Don't worry about scale factor. Don't worry about zero suppression here for now. Don't worry about decimal degrees. So that's all good. Let's hop over to fit now. This should, let's see. That should be set to both text and arrows. I think by default it's one of these. I think we want that right there. Draw dimension line for that should be checked, and we're annotative. See, I still missed something when I went through it myself. This is very complicated. I guarantee what's going to happen is you will do this, you'll go through, you'll place something, and then you'll go, oh, it's all wrong, and have to fix or go back and check it. So text, make sure you set this. I think it's default to standard. Make sure you set it to the dimension font style that we set up earlier. If you haven't done that yet, you can go through, and this links to the same menu with this little triple dot. Go ahead and leave your text color and your fill color by block and none. Again, we want to have everything set by block at first and then come back and change things as we need. It's going to inherit the text height from this, from that font style, so we won't be able to change that. Our text placement is not, I think it's default centered. We're going to be above, but you can see how this, if you cycle through these, it places it in different spots. And then horizontal, we're going to be centered, view direction left to right. Offset from the dimension line, 1/16 of an inch. What we're going to end up doing is we're going to have what will be, what's it called? 1/4 inch spaces between our lines, 1/8 inch high text, which means that you have a 1/16 of an inch on top and bottom between the lines that the text will fit in. So that's why we're doing this offset from dimension line at 1/16 of an inch. Symbols and arrows, closed filled. Arrow size is going to be 1/8 of an inch. The break size, so the break between the lines is going to be 1/4 inch. And then I don't think we actually modified that. And then again, dimension lines associate with all those just by block. Baseline spacing is going to be a 1/16 of an inch. Extend beyond dimension lines. So this right here controls how far this little line sticks up. So if we shrink that, you can see that those lines go away. Offset from origin is how far the gap is between the line and that. And you can see right there that as we change that, it gets bigger or smaller. So we'll go ahead and go with this for now. I'll hit OK, just to walk back through those so you can review your settings. There's lines, there's symbols and arrows, there's text, there's fit, there's primary units. Okay, let's see if I got it right this time. So I'll hit close, and then we'll go to place a line. So we'll start out by clicking linear. Linear is a fairly standard one, and it's going to be what you work with for most part. We'll go ahead and start there. Oops, come on, there we go. Okay, so we've got our dimension line set up. We'll do linear. Come on, there we go. Okay, so we'll start at the corner here. We'll come across, and then I've always done 3 feet is the dimension line, and this is a dimension. Oh, I canceled it. 3 feet is the length of the line that it'll be from the building. So it's going to come out 3 feet, and that'll be our first line. This is a nice distance, I find, for kind of leaving some space between the building. For example, we'll get into putting labels on windows, and if you have a 3-foot gap here, you still have space for the symbol that we'll put on the window there. But I need to do this slightly differently. So we're actually going to have a gap here between this, between these walls. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put, actually we have the center line right there. Okay, so we'll do linear. We'll start on the corner, and it's kind of tricky how you do some of this, so just follow along carefully. When we start on an exterior, if we hit an exterior corner, interior wall, or anything else along this wall, we're going to create a new line with this first set. So we're going to go exterior corner, we'll find the middle line right there, we'll come out 3 feet, and then we'll hit continue. And I probably should have just started with continue from the beginning. And what we're going to do is find that center point right there. Okay? Once we've done that, I'll hit spacebar and then spacebar again, just like hitting continue. Oh, except it wants to start a new one. So we'll do linear instead, start at the corner, and then I'll find the middle of where this is. And it's kind of tricky because we don't have a line there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure it references this corner, which is in line there, and then that point right there, which is the center. So we'll be right here, and then this is the center of the window. This is going to come out again 3 feet, and then we can hit linear continue here. I'll just hit linear, and then I'll re-reference this point. No, I probably should have just hit continue. That would have been easier this time. And then we'll go to the point that's right here. Now we're at the front door. So again, we'll come back in here. We'll start our line at linear from the corner. We'll find the midpoint of this door, which we aren't going to have, so I'll have to draw a temporary line here. And then I'll just erase this line when I'm done. This will come out 3 feet. We'll hit continue. And again, we'll find this point and the midpoint. Get that reference right there. We'll find the middle of this one, and so to get this, I'm actually going to come up and reference this point on the opposite side of the house. Actually, I probably could also do the door or the wall right there. But then make sure when you actually do the click itself, you move, and it's kind of hard to see because it's white on white, but I'm moving the mouse back down to the bottom here. And there's nothing else here, so we'll go to right there, hit escape, we'll go back to linear, and then we'll continue our way around. We'll get this wall, midpoint, 3 feet, continue, and to the edge. Okay, so you guys probably, you guys set this up, or once you've done this, you can hop over to your layout. Again, you set this up for 1/4 inch, while you had, you set it up for 1/4 inch on this one, and you set it up for 1/8 inch over here. And there's a reason why it's not showing, and that's more of what we'll get into in a few minutes here, but I want to finish going over. But you should have something that looks approximately like that. Let's also quickly do our interior dimensions. So typically what I'll do is I'll find like a good reference spot. Maybe we go from the middle of here across, and then we don't have to do any distance when we do some of these interior ones. So I'll just do linear, reference this. You typically won't do your interior dimensions until later, once you figure out where a lot of your labels are gonna. I can't talk and do this at the same time, apparently. Sorry, you aren't going to typically want to do this until you have a lot of your other stuff figured out, because these take up space on the interior. The nice thing is you can, if you want to, kind of shift some of these around. If you go and try and keep the center of the rooms open for like your room labels. But again, it's kind of planning around something that you don't know what it looks like yet. So just keep that in the back of your mind for now. And then see, like that's going to go right there. So it's a little bit tricky to do some of these interior dimensions. But again, try and keep them close to the wall here. And one of these should actually show the door. So let's draw another temporary line here. Because I forgot to do the door. Oh good, we've got a leader line we can work with. Okay. That's good. Okay, so we did end up with a leader line here. Let me see if I can. Let's just shift this out a little bit. And then let's see if this one's, no, it's not going to be safe to put in there at all. Okay. So we'll just move this leader line. I don't like it when they're straight. That's just a personal preference. But this is something where I would want it to not interfere with the door. So I'm going to move it a little bit out of the way right there, just so that it's still readable, but it's not interfering with the door. And then we'll go ahead and get rid of our temporary lines that we drew there too. So we've got all of that set up. Now, I was over here and I mentioned that we don't have, or we have the dimension lines here, but we don't have them here. So let's make one change, and what we're going to do is we're going to change our scale for this view. You probably got that pop up about a 1:1. I'll have to mention that in class. But we'll switch this over to 1/8 inch, and then we will do add current scale. And so now, if we go over, come on. Oh, I need to select the annotative objects. So we'll select all of our dimension lines we just put in here. Make sure that you've set it to 1/8 inch and then add current scale. So now what's going to happen is we can work here in 1/4 inch. All our dimension lines show up fine. They show up here when we're at 1/4 inch, and then they show up here at 1/8 inch. Now, you do end up having to do a little bit of debugging here, and this is why you typically don't end up with 1/8 inch or doing dimensions at 1/8 inches, because you end up with a bunch of these little leader lines here. But this can kind of help you debug as you work along. And so if I wanted to fix these, it's a lot of, again, I probably would end up having to do some weird stuff with those. So this is why you don't typically do that, but I want to get you guys used to using annotation stuff, because that's what we're going to be doing a lot more of later this week. All right, so this is our first set though on the exterior. We have a second set. So this first line, again, I mentioned, is going to interact with everything that goes around the building. But as we continue, what we're going to do is we're going to do a second one. So this is showing every intersection, and then we need one more right now for this model anyway, that's going to show the actual overall length. So this one, when I draw this out, I'm going to do 4 feet instead. So it's going to draw this out an extra foot. So here's, in paper space, I should say, this is that 1/8 inch gap. 1/8 inch gap in 1/4 inch equals 1 foot is going to be, I can't do math, just whatever. This is a 1/4 inch, and then these, this is a 1/4 inch, this is an 1/8 inch, and then you have that 1/16 inch gap in paper space. So that's what we're getting to when we're working with annotative. Is it something that works in both of the spaces and ends up producing something that can be used multiple times at different scales. So that's what we're doing when we get into annotative things. So we've got that set up. We'll go ahead and start our next one over here too. Again, this will come out 4 feet. Nope, that's 4 inches. So 4 feet. This one's going to go all the way across. And then it looks like we do have one little issue right there, which is that line is going through the centers of those. So let's go ahead and modify our dimension settings. So we'll hop up here, and we're actually going to pull that line back a little bit. So we'll go to Manage Dimension Styles, Modify. So I probably didn't write that one down right. So our line, Extend Beyond Dimension Lines, we'll set that to a 1/16 of an inch. And should have adjusted. Let's take that down another little step so that, well, it's readable. It's right at the line though. That's fine. We'll go with that. You guys know how to change it if you want to. So that gives us our dimensioning for this. So we'll go ahead and create a new layer to store this. Right now you guys only have doors and windows. I'm going to create a new one. We're going to call this dimensions. I'm going to make this one red. You can make it whatever color you want. And then I'm just going to go through. We'll select all of our dimension lines. And we'll put them on a dimension layer. And then I'll go through, I will assign to create a new layer 2 for our viewports. We'll make it fuchsia. Don't print. And then we'll set our viewports there as well. Okay, so we've got this, we've got that showing up. Now that looks bad, so let's actually take that off. So we'll go to here. And we'll remove these. Scale list. Oh no, that's the overall one. Add, delete scales. Oh. 1/8 inch. It should be that right there. Yeah. So we're just telling it, don't draw these at 1/8 inch because they look bad. So just delete the 1/8 inch from there. Oh, missed one. Okay. Okay. So we should have that showing up. So we've got here a 1/4 inch again with dimension lines, 1/8 inch without. So it's a way of automating that. I've seen a lot of students in the past when I didn't go over this in much detail kind of do their own thing. Dimension lines can or can't work for you. If you set them up right, they're kind of helpful and they work kind of well. All right, so that's dimension lines and annotative things. I'm going to come back with a separate lecture, but I'm going to kind of go right off of this, so I'm going to make it a second lecture.